I'm Christine Herman of Herman's Quality Meat Shop in Newark, Delaware. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to explain the difference between a pork butt and a pork picnic shoulder. Are you ready? In our store, we sell a lot of pork, and typically customers are using it to make pulled pork, carnitas, tacos, and even just a plain pork shoulder. So there's a bit of confusion with the terminology between a pork butt, a Boston butt, a pork shoulder, and even a picnic shoulder. So I hope in this video I can kind of clarify some of those terms with this meat. The pork shoulder butt is the same as the Boston butt. That's what I have here in front of me. It's the upper interior muscle of the pig, and it's his front shoulder, and it's often used, as I said, to make pulled pork, and it's excellent for smoking because it's got a lot of fat content in it. However, it is a tougher muscle because it's what the pig uses to propel itself forward. And it's very similar to the beef shoulder in that it's excellent for the slow roasting pot roast. However, it's not typically used in the same fashion as far as adding vegetables and cooking it that way. But you're probably wondering, you're probably wondering where the term butt comes from. So in the little bit of research that I did, I found out that years ago, butchers used to store this particular cut of meat in barrels that they called butts. Therefore, the term pork butt came to be. However, I learned differently. I learned that it was because this particular piece butts up against the loin, it was called the pork butt. On the other hand, the picnic shoulder muscle is the front lower exterior muscle that meets the belly of the pig. And I don't have that piece with me tonight, but it is used for grilling and roasting and slow cooking for the same purposes. It does come with the skin on it, and it's because it has the skin on it, a lot of people will cook it such that the skin gets nice and crusty and crispy, and it's excellent for crackling. So again, the picnic is a little stringier as well. But, we're going to talk about the pork butt. I have one here on my block, and I'm going to demonstrate a few little things. And the one thing that I want to make sure I show you is how to remove the gland. Because if you don't get it removed when you buy it, unless of course you buy it from me, then you want to know how to do that to make sure it's gone. So here we have the picnic butt, not the shoulder, the butt. And there's the shoulder blade bone right here, and it comes around. And here's the fat on the back that is awesome for smoking. And I'm going to flip it around because the key is when you find this flat piece of shoulder blade bone, you know that on the opposite end of that, the other side, there's where the gland is. So there's a couple different ways to find this, but that's the one key. And there's usually a pocket right in here. And there's one thing you always want to know about a gland. You never want to cook meat with a gland in it because the gland will taint the flavor of the meat, and you'll not be happy in the least. And sometimes the gland is easy to find, and other times it's a little stinker. And sometimes you just kind of have to dig a little bit until you find it. And a nice sharp knife, mine's a 6-inch blade, and I'm just going to sort of burrow in here, and I'll show you when I'm done. There's a nice piece of fat, and I'm hoping to pull out that gland. And we don't always know until we find it. And I did catch it. This one's a big gland. You can see that right there, and I actually missed a piece. Show you. I'm going to kind of flip this open a little bit and cut it open a little bit. But you can actually see that there's still a piece of gland in there. And it looks very similar in color to the meat. But you want to make sure that you get this out, because as I said, it will taint the flavor of your meat. Even that little teeny tiny thing right there, that's your gland. Yuck, you don't want that. I've shown this to you before in other videos, and that is a big no-no. And then if you want, you can trim a little bit of this excess gooey looking fat here. Some of our customers just like a little bit of this fat left on it, or we take it all off. But typically if you're going to smoke it, you want to make sure that you leave that on, because that fat cap helps to protect the meat and give it that rich flavor. And there's a little bit of fat here too. But you can see that there's some nice lean portions as well. And really, that's about all we do to it. If you're putting it in a crock pot, we'll talk about cooking methods here in just a moment. If you're going to put it in a crock pot, we can take that bone out and tie it back together, and then simply just put it in your crock pot like that. So some quick cooking tips are giving it a dry rub and letting it marinate overnight or for a couple of hours, and then either putting it on a smoker or in a crock pot. And if you're going to be smoking it, as I said, you want to keep that fat on it and a low and slow. Oftentimes it takes, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 hours to cook. I honestly have an electric smoker, so mine takes a lot less cooking time. And I'm going to show you a piece of meat that's already smoked in just a moment. Or you can, again, put it in a crock pot. And the crock pot is, again, the low and slow with your liquid, your barbecue sauce, and whatever flavors and rubs you want to use. And then just let it cook all day. But we did discover something in my family, thanks to my son, that this particular piece of meat is a really nice cut that works with sauerkraut. So pork and sauerkraut is awesome, and what we do is cut it up into small pieces, or you can shred it, but for dinner purposes we cut it into pieces and serve it with the sauerkraut, and it makes a really nice dinner that way. Okay, so I'm going to set this here, and I am going to show you my day's work. I'm going to put some gloves on because I had raw pork, and you know how I feel about cross contamination. So with my gloves on, I'm going to show you what I did earlier today. And yesterday I had the pork shoulder just like this one, and I put a rub on it and I let it sit overnight, and then I put it in my smoker, and it looks like this after several hours of cooking. And you're probably wondering to yourself, well, that doesn't look overly appetizing. And no, it kind of doesn't. However, there is the next step that I'm going to do, which is put it in my slow cooker, in my barbecue sauce and my flavors, and let it cook a little bit longer. And then I'm going to cool it down, and then I'm going to pull it. So guess what that means? There's going to be another video on how to pull this. So come back. All right, let's say you have this pork shoulder on your smoker. Now this guy here is probably 8, 9 pounds, and that's probably enough to feed 10, 12 people if you're not serving anything else, and depending upon what your recipe is and what else you're doing, which means you've got a house full of people, or you just want a lot of leftovers. So one of my pet peeves, if you will, is at the end of the day, at the end of dinner, and we've all enjoyed, we've ate, we drank, we've had our fun, and I go into the kitchen and I go, oh my gosh, look at all those dishes. Well, what I like to do to avoid that mood is wash my dishes as I go along. And you're probably thinking to yourself, really, that's your kitchen tip? Yes, it is. I know many people, and I know many a household who don't like to do dishes. However, to me, it's so easy. If you just do them as you go, while the pot's boiling, you're cleaning up your utensils, and when the vegetables are cooking, you're cleaning up something else. You just kind of wash 2-3 dishes at a time. Before you know it, you sit down to dinner, and all you have to do is put the dishes in the dishwasher that you just used. To me, it's easy. I know, that's just the way I think. How to make that easy? Well, a couple dish towels and maybe a dish drain, especially if you have company and you need more space. Always make sure that you have a clean surface, like a clean countertop or another table that you can put your clean dry dishes. I have one of these mats that I use when I have company, and I just wash the dishes and I put them there and I let them dry, and it just makes my life so much easier. And when I'm done, I put it in the laundry, wash it, fold it up, put it away, and my countertop's clean. There's all kinds of different types of dish drains of sorts with apparatus to hold your dishes and your pots and pans and your glasses. And to me, that just is so much easier. So, and it just makes cleanup better, and hopefully it makes the guests feel like they're helping. If you have family or a guest or two, they're like, oh, how can I help? Well, go on in and dry a few dishes. Let's make it fun, and we chit-chat while we're doing that. Maybe have a little libation or just some cold water, whatever. At least you're having some time together, and you're helping to keep everything tidy so that at the end of the day, the hostess, or even yourself, even if you live by yourself, just clean up as you go. It just makes life so much easier. So I hope that was a helpful tip. Thanks. All right, well, hopefully you have learned the difference in terminology between a pork shoulder butt and a pork picnic roast. Either way, they're both delicious, and they're both perfect for slow cooking. And I hope that you will come back and see my next video so that you can watch me pull this into a beautiful pan of pulled pork. So I hope that you will like our channel, and remember to subscribe so that you can get new videos every time we post one. Please feel free to comment, and always remember to share with a friend, because they're going to want to know your secrets that you've learned from me. Thank you. God bless. Christine Herman.